We're all sitting in there, just looking at the table. Nobody's doing anything.
They're waiting, Rabbi, they're waiting. Sharing Sameech Tes. Tonight is Lyle Yudalid Kislev. Ahmed Vav. Tashin Sameech Tes.
Right, so we saw that in the Shomer's Tzila, we're talking about the union, the Shorosh of Kol and the Shomer's Kol Echad V'Echad V'Yisrael is Be'emes V'Eilam HaTzilas. And Eilam HaTzilas is Kulei Elikus. And Mitzadet is the union of Enamuna Peshuta, the Kol Echad V'Echad. It's only that it's not Meir B'Golui in the Neshomas Regilas or the Neshomas Anemuchas, Mashenkin in the Neshomas of Atzilas, then it's Meir Begolui Etzlam. But even in those who are not Mekabel from Atzilas Begolui, then Mazlayu is able to muzzle the Neshoma, that's the Shorish in Atzilas, is nonetheless able to literally send messages or cause Ayisoideres in the Neshama Hilamata, even though it's not, even direct observation and direct re'iyah. Mashenkin, the Neshomas and Atzilas, they have mamish re'iyah, b'mahus, ha'elakus, even how they are here lamata. And therefore we saw that their Aveda is in, or even from Yechudi Iloah, even from Kula Kamei Chalei Chashiv Mamish, and even how they are here lamata, they are margish, and they live with the amitius atusa is part. That was better what we saw yesterday. Onnom we saw Yadua sheyesh kama madreges bin Shomes, v'yesh Shomes shebiri dosan l'briya yitzira v'asiya misalim bohem b'china umadreges zu shemitzad shorshom ba'atzilas. When they come down into the union from Bria Yetzirah V'Asiyah, then literally Misalim that goes into Helen in them, or that aspect or that Madrega of the Shorosh Anishoma, how it is in Atzilah. Now that means to say that the Emes, every Neshama, as we saw, the Neshomas Kol Echad V'Echad, the Mushrash B'Atzilah. Neshomas de Atzilas are those, or Neshomas Kevoyes, they are those Neshomas that they come down, and they don't undergo in their Yerida any real Helenva Hester Benegir to the Shoyresh. However, even by them, it's hard to say that Eilam Atzilas is Mamish Meir Behem in the same Gilu as Eilam Atzilas is Meir Be'Eilam Atzilah. Now, was it a proof to say a thing like that? In Tanya, in the Geras HaKodesh, in chapter, I think it's 20 of base, over there, the Alter Rebbe brings down, or maybe it's earlier than Kopes, but the Alter Rebbe brings that Avram Avinu said about himself, Hine Oneche off over Va'efa. He said, I'm only like dust and ashes. Teach the Alter Rebbe that's referring to the level of Gilu Eilam HaTzilas, that is Lamata by Avram Avinu, compared to Gilu Eilam HaTzilas, that is Mamish Eilam HaTzilah. It's only off of Va'efa, like Abizeh. However, the truth of the matter is that he's still a Neshama da Atzilas, and as he brings down over there, he was B'Taklas Advekes B'Midas HaChesed Atzilas Avram Avinu. Until shown on the famous Tona de Ve'Elio, the famous Medrash, what brings down that the Midas Chesed of the Eibishter, meaning Chesed Atzilas, said to the Eibishter, calls man that Avram Avinu is on the earth, I don't have what to do. It's a famous Medrash brought in several Drushei Chassidah. was it a taich? Either you can't have a cake and eat it too. Either he's mamish atzilus or he's not. So that's what the Alter Rebbe teaches over there. The din offer, and also for that matter in Eifer, there's a certain essentiality which is important in Yom Zeh, and that is that the offer is one of the four constituent elements of all matter, and on the contrary, it's the ikar. Like the Alter Rebbe says, that all the other elements are only there in a very spiritual and ethereal way. Ve'ilu, the Yesod HaOfer, that is the main mamoshes of the Inyan as a Inyan Nivra Lamata. The same with Eifer. When you burn something, then the three spiritual elements go out, but the actual body of the thing remains, and that is the Eifer. However, Avraham Avinu, how he was Lamata, he was mamish me'etzem olam hatzilus, but compared to the original olam hatzilus, then it's lacking a lot of the toikef of the gilui, how it is in Atzilus compared to down here, of the essential inyan of Atzilus, dahainu, that Yehuda Eloah and Actus Amitis and Gilui Mahus Elikus, all of that is still there. But for the sake of you, he goes to Lamata, there's a certain inyan. That's called in Atzilus derech ma'avir v'lo derech hislapshus. We won't go into that now in all the details, but suffice it to say that it's not that really those neshamas are nitfosim at all in Olam Priya Yetzirah. I see they just literally pass through them in order to reach Lamata, and in order that should be, there's a certain toning down of the intensity of the Gilu, but that's the inifan off of Eifa, of the essential Nakutas HaGilu, how it is in Atzilus, or that is preserved. And they are neshamas, what they have a yediyah and a hargosha gedolah in bittul of Yehuda Eloah. But these other neshamas, that's what the Alter Rebbe tells us in Perek Beis, in Tanya. Even though their shoyrish is in the same place as the neshamas d'Atzilus, mamish, but they are yoyred derech certain helomas v'esteirim, and he brings over there the famous mashal of the Tippas HaZochor, how it becomes a vlad, becomes an embryo in the womb of the mother. Then, even though it's dovuk in the etzem zera of the father, the etzem tipus hazera, but it undergoes all sorts of developments and shinuim and simtsumim into other entities, even though it's still completely united in all of its moves with its original shows, which is the tipus av. And over there, there's a famous diuk in the Lashon of the Alter Rebbe, that he says over there that even after the ben becomes born, he's still also betachus hakesher ima abba, and it's mashma over there, according to one way of understanding the Lashon of the Tanya, that even when he's already walking around and he's already grown up, really what's functioning in him is still the moyach ha'ab. But that means that, the whole union of connection of doiros is a very essential connection, that each doir is connected with previous doir bo'efan atzmi, madai. So therefore it's totally what's the debut dot in Tanya. But actually here, it comes out that the neshama still retains and is functioning through the shurish, which is making it what it is. It's just that regardless, a lot of things have come in to be malim on that shurish. But if we take the moshel l'tatzlisa and we take it mamish kamoishahu, we see that that's all part of the kavona. And ochem vei is, if those inyonim hadn't taken place, then you wouldn't have a vat. In other words, you wouldn't have, and the tzipor, he brings over there that even the tzippornayim are makusha with the etzem tipis av, how to cut the fingernails. So I mean, if a mensch Cholida doesn't have proper fingernails and he's not able to function properly, all these inyonim are very, very nogeya in the kavana of the Eibishter, even though the original sherish betipus av is not pagolo kokak in the fingernail. Well, it's very interesting. The Alter Rebbe writes in over there a whole business about the fingernails, even in the Lashon of the Tanya over there, that Adam Arishan prior to the Chait, and his whole levush, he had a levush Adam Arishan al kol gufay, which was similar to the tziponayim that we have on our fingers. And then they were on a much higher madrega. There was Maya in the tziponayim, a much higher gilui. Is assuming that the tziponayim are not all that far away from a very high gilui that they had at a certain point in the Seder of the Bria, which means that everything is makusher be'etzim to the original functioning, atzmius of the moyach ha'al. Even though begolo you don't see it, and that's the union of the neshamas when they come down into bi'ah and they become neshamas the bi'ah. That's the expression that he uses, that when they enter by way of yerida into bi'ah, then misalim bohem, then there hides in them b'chinu madregazu shemitat shoshabatil. It just goes into hiding, but it doesn't lose kesher with them, or they don't lose kesher with it. They're still essentially bound up and connected, and on the contrary, their neshamas are only a form of a divinely inspired derivation of that kesher with Atzilus.
We said at the end of last shir that we would speak about how the neshamas in Atzilus can have a vodo. We talked last night that we mentioned the mind that the neshamas in Atzilus they have a vodo.
What's there, a voida?
Yeah.
Oh, we did?
We said last night that we would talk about that. So
well, you have to tell me what was the connection, with what sentence did that go?
Because we were saying that
the brackets.
I have to remember what I said last night. That's quite
in the apprentices.
Huh?
In the apprentices.
No. First one is most.
Shekula can make halach hashiva.
Because of the neshama is ulozois neshama k'moish yidamaylam. It's a mitzad shel adv'chis.
Totally sorry, I can't hear. I'll have to give a hearing aid opening. It's really a problem. I almost don't hear anything in this here.
And we said that the first line of the word in the line is the first word in the sentence is ulozois. You want to show you in the book? Yes.
Show me in the Seder, right? Yes. I'm sorry. That's the way I don't hear. Certain people's voices you have a sort of a dropped voice. I just don't hear. So I said I was going to develop on that.
You said that you might.
Huh?
You said that we might.
Yeah, so I obviously had something in mind. So listen, let's go further, and maybe it'll click into my mind what it is that I wanted to say. Suffice it to say that the Neshamas Atzilus, since they live mamish begoloi with Kula Kamei Chalei Chashivei, then they look at this whole world as they can't understand. It's absolutely mufrach etzlam how people, are attracted by this world, how people spend so much time busying themselves with this world. It's by say. I think I know what I wanted to say was, it's well known that the difference between Atzilus and Bi'ah is that in Atzilus, Elokus is called Pshitus. But Elokus is obvious and absolutely simple. The Bi'ah, then Matthias is Pshitus. The Elokus will be Schadchas. So what is simple in Bi'ah is that things are there, and Elokus is like a new thing. It's a thing you have to horror to get into your system. So Neshamas that they're Neshamas Datzilas, by them it's absolutely simple that there's really no Matthias. It's just a door that's Meya Etzlam B'Tachlis HaKilui, and therefore we'll see in a minute another expression that the Rebbe is going to say, which will help me develop on that a little more, and then maybe that'll bring us to what we had in mind yesterday. So, but however, the Neshamas of Bi'ah, when they come down and they Yerida into Bi'ah, then it's only Misalim B'hem, not that the Shoyresh is Misalim in a way that they have no connection with it, but it's only that Inyan which is Mitzad Shor Shombatzu, or that which comes out of their Shorosh and Atzilus, what you might call the significance and the mashmoyas of the Shorosh Atzilus, well, that hides from them. Although not the actual Shorosh doesn't hide from them at all. That remains in them, but the what you might call the Nashiminim is there, is not Meir Be'em, but Begol. In other words, they don't feel the whole Kula Kamei Chalecha Chashiva. And that's what we'll develop on that maybe when we come to another expression here just a little further down. And therefore says the Rebbe, Nishomas Elu Harehem Nitfosim Begeshem. Therefore they are literally caught by the Gashmias of the world. Shachoimer Malim Umastir Al Nishmoson. Umamela Einam Shayochim Elamitias או אביידה דבחינס יחודה היא לא. אבל אויסן נשומות שהם בבחינס מהוס אלוקוס דאצילus, meaning even the way they are here למטה, it's meir begoloi the mahus the אלוקוס of Atzilus is meir in them, even how they are here למטה, גם בירידוסם למטה. Harei mufshotim me'ageshem. They're completely, how do you call it, divorced altogether from the physical. Ki al bechinas mahus elakus ein shum dover mastir klal. On mahus elakus, then nothing can possibly be mastir. Like we said yesterday, Atzilus is mahus elikus, meaning Atzilus is in effect the Rabbeinu Shalom. Atzilus is the Eibishter. Man, it that the Eibishter brought about within the different symptoms of Akol B'Teich Atzmai, in order to be miyachad the others with the Kelim. And we said that on the contrary, that's even a more Gilu, Shleimus, Ayichoilus, as we brought down in certain of the great Sifrei HaMukubalim, when it get to that Indian or Atzilus is mamish, yeah, on the contrary, the Gilu, the Shleimus, Atzmusei is part. So, that's mamish Mahus Elikus. So, you can't be Malim on the Eibishter. That which is Mahus, yeah, of Hashem, nothing can be Malim on it. And that what we say that the Tzimtzum and all the other inyanim, and particularly the Tzimtzumim of Seidish Taucheles, Ayeh Malim on Elikus, so each possess Shnei inyanim. First of all, they're not Malim on Mahus Elikus, they're only Malim on a Ha'ora, Dovad. On a Ha'ora, meaning a luminescence, you can be Malim, and even that is only the Gabi de Makablim of a not the Gabi Dietzim Ha'ora itself. In other words, like the Alter Rebbe points out in Perikof Aleph in Tanya, all the Tzimtzumim, I feel the Tzimtzumim of Seder Ishtauses, all the Gabi the Makabel of not the Gabi HaKadosh Baruch. And therefore he sees in the Tzimtzumim all these attributes, nothing can really be Malim or Mastim Gabi him. And he brings at the end that even the Koyach HaTzimtzum, the Koyach HaErev is Atzpusi is Bora. And he brings the famous Moshe, Ka'adein Kamtei, the Lavushi Maneu obey. He brings a famous example of the porcupine or the snail or now touch it, that his house and him are the same thing. And it's interesting, when I was in England, I went to with my host took me one afternoon to visit a sort of a place which got these huge gardens, and they've got a sort of a funny, like sort of rare type of zoo in the gardens. It's a rare place. Man, it's an amazing sort of a place. There's these huge gardens that used to belong to some big noble family generations ago. It's sort of like square kilometers of gardens. And so they got this sort of zoo. And we walk along, and all of a sudden we see this little thing that's like a porcupine, mummies. And he is his house. He just goes inside himself, and even when he is open, he's got all these spikes. And all of a sudden he just squeezes himself into a ball, and he looks like a ball. So in other words, he and his lavush, is the one thing. It's not that he's got a house on him when he goes inside the house. That's a snail or a turtle. Or he's he's his own levush. His own etzem being is his own. And I once heard from somebody that that's what the Zohar Kodesh, what the Alter Rebbe quotes, that's what it really means. It's some sort of porcupine or some name, I tried to think.
Hedgehog.
Hedgehog? Hedgehog? No, a hedgehog can be big. These are not big, they're rather small little creatures. Anyway, whatever. So, come to Esophiza, like the Alter Rebbe said, the Koach HaHelem and the Etzem itself, the Etzem creature and its own Helem on itself are all one and the same thing. And therefore, that's Atzilus. Everything is Gilui Atzmusi is Barak, and he's only the Eivester and the Koach HaHelem are all him. They're all one and the same. They're all one and the same thing. And the Neshama Datzilus is aware of that. And everyone, the Neshama Datzilus doesn't become affected by the whole Helem this world, because this is not aware that the Eivester showing himself to him. Sometimes he sees him in an even from the Oyer, and sometimes he sees him in an even from a Kli. As far as he's concerned, it's all Hashem, and you can't be Malim on that. But if he's a contra is that what can you be Malim? So the truth is you can't be Malim on anything. The whole Helem is only the Gabi the Makaplim. The Eibishter makes it all one way. The Tzimtzum doesn't really happen. And that's the famous doctrine of the Alter Rebbe, that the Tzimtzum doesn't really happen. That it only happens to Gabi the Makaplim, but it doesn't really happen in any real way. It's like a tremendous bluff, the Gabi the Makaplim, that he doesn't see over the Eibishter knows everything, and the Eivester sees everything. And as far as the Eivester is concerned, nothing's really happening, and you're not really there. But just because he wants that should happen, he makes it appear as if it does. And that making it appear as if it does, and that's called, Alpi Torah Amatir. Torah considers that a Matir. In other words, that you've got to be careful not to say, oh, it's all just not anyway a Matir, let's drink and be merry. You can't do that either. Well, you can. I mean, you can by a Siddish Vabring. You can say L'chaim and you can be B'simcha. Everybody understands what I meant by that expression. You can't just, sort of say, oh, well, we'll take it easy and do whatever we want. Because the Eibishter wants that Matthias as an Nisoyan. He wants it to try you as to how you're going to really react. It nimmt that the Neshamas, how they come into Biyah and the so-called lower Neshamas, the Eibishter has allowed that power of Tzimtzum to function like them. Therefore, they act as if they didn't have their Shorosh of Atzilus. But really they do. They're just not able to experience it directly, and there's like a Koach HaTzimtzum between them and their Shorosh Atzilus. Oh, but that Gufa is a very tremendous Kavanah on a part of Hashem. And that's what he says in Perik Beis. That's what makes the Valad, that's what makes the embryo, and all those things have a tremendous Kavanah to them, meant to be. It's just that you, by carrying out that kavanah, are losing on a certain deal that you don't feel alikud. But ultimately, you're going to have to come back to be bottled to that alikud, even though you may not feel it, and take it miyad mamish, and you're going to feel it in the highest possible way, and that is going to be the tremendous reward which everybody's going to have. Take of miyad mam. Omnam, so the Neshama say, for the time being, they're caught up in the physical. Why? Because the Choimer is Malim or Master Oyer Nishmosa. It's Malim on the light of their Neshamas. In other words, they have a Neshama, but the light of their Neshama is not able to shine at them. In other words, what is the light? The Elikus, the Etzem Elikus of the Neshama is not able to shine at them. And therefore, they know that they're alive, and they know that that livingness is really Hashem. But they can't see the divine light in that, or when I say they can't see it, they can't live entirely with that. They only live partially with it. And therefore, the Choimer is Mailim or Mastir al Ha'oyer Nishmasa. Now, when we say Choimer, we've also, there's a lot to be medactic in the Lashonos here, because he said Hareim nitfosim begeshem, and then he says Choimer malim umastir. So I mean, what's the difference between Geshem and Choimer? I mean, Geshem He could have just said, Shakashmis, Mailam Umazo, Shakeshem, Mailam Umazo. Why did he move from Geshem to Choimer? So I think we've discussed it on other occasions, that even from Geshem, that's the physicality which ain't called undesirability mitzad itself. Because on the contrary, that's the Avis's creation, the Indian of the Geshem. However, Choimer is called materiality, or what they call it, material, making material into a ikar. Choimer is how the Gashmis dictates to you. Instead of being part of the whole creation, a part of the whole system, the Gashmis makes itself like a value for its own right, and that's called Choimer. That's called like material. And that's my mashma, that somebody who's in the world and he doesn't make a tremendous effort, from Geshem it's very easy to slip into Choimer. In other words, one literally trips into the other. And then that's Mailim Master al Nishmas on. In other words, the Gashmi is just per se is not necessarily Mailim Master altogether. What really causes is this Indian of Choimer. Umamela, due to that, Einam Shayochim El Amitias Aveda de Bchinchichude Loa. Because we said that Yichude Loa is that Kula Kamei Chaloi Chashiva Mamni, all you see is Elikus and all you feel is Elikus, and the Nivra is completely botel in his Shoyra, that's in Yichude Iloa. And if you've got a Choimer and you live in a physical world which is already being mastir, then you can't be demanded El Amitias Aveda de Bchinchichude Iloa. Now notice that the Rebbe said you can't be demanded in the Amitias Aved of Yichudei Eloah. Mashma that a little bit of Yichudei Eloah it can be demanded. Would you just like to take a quick peep? Don't walk in there, but just take a peep. See if everything really got started over there.
Well, they were singing a minute ago. They were singing a minute ago.
Oh, were they?
Yeah,
Oh,
for the last 10 minutes.
I don't know. I live in the semi-evacuated. Yeah, so you think they've already started. Very good. Okay, Emma. Amitias Aveda Yichudei Eloah. What do they teach Amitias? That's what we see in Kuntres 8 Chaim, that the Rebbe Hashem writes over there clearly, and that's one of the things that he wrote for the students of Tochet, or the Talmidim in Tochet Mimim, that the Rebbe writes over there that even though the Rov Neshama, and by the way, the Alter Rebbe says in Torah and Pasha Mishpatim, he talks about this all in a little bit later, a certain expression we're going to use here, and over there the Alter Rebbe says the majority of Neshamas are those who don't really experience the Atzilus, like the majority of Neshamas, B'doyer Seinu Eilu, and then he writes about Filu B'doyer Sarashaitim. In other words, that Mamish Emerson Neshamas D'Atzilus are rare. The whole famous deal in the Alter Rebbe in Perek Aleph in Tanya was at this particular moment. The Rebbe writes over there that in Cain, why do we say Shema? He asks over there the question, pretty straightforward. Why do we say that the Ikka Aved of Kriyashma Shema Yisrael, and that's a big Ikka Indian by everybody, and everybody makes business Krishma, and that's the Ikka Aved of Satfila, is Kriyat Shema with the whole even. And we don't really hold by Shema Yisrael. The Alter Rebbe says that's Yichudei Eloah. Then what are we doing? We're all sort of cocking away about something we're not really shocked. That's a pretty basic sort of question, yeah? So the Rebbe writes over there, Peledikizach. He says, you're not really shy to Yichudei Eloah. But you have to know a bit about Yichudei Eloah, and you have to koch yourself a little bit in Yichudei Eloah, because otherwise, even your Yichudei Tatuah is not going to be beside it. That's what he said. In other words, that in order that the law, almost incomparably lower Madrega, should be Beseder, meaning it should be Amitias, and with all the Inyonim and the Hargoshes that should be in that lower level, you've got to have a certain Hargosha. Yeah, what you might say in the old Siddish quip language, a shmek tabik. You've got to have a pinch of snuff, of the feeling of Yehuda Eloah, otherwise there'll be a shot as to whether Yehuda Tato is really beside. In other words, in order that the lower Madrega should be really Kidnidrash, you've got to have a certain taste in the Madrega Shalamayla Himeno, Afilu Beinaroi. That's what over there. Remember, we say Shema Yisrael in order to make our Yehuda Tato, what we're really shot to, make it really how it should be. That's why we cook in Yehuda Eloah, even though we're not really shy to it. Or you've got to have a certain knowledge of it. And so that's what the Rebbe says. We're not shy to the emes of it, we're shy a bit, yeah. We have to be. And that's why the diuk is Amitia. Yeah.
If Shema Yisrael is Yehuda Eloah, and we're not really shaykh to it, then why don't we say Shema Yisrael quietly and Baruch Shem out loud? Because that's Yehuda Tatar, which we are shaykh to.
Right, that's a good question. If we should say the other way around, we should say Baruch Shem out loud. Well, first of all, we don't say Shema Yisrael out loud. That's only on Yom Kippur. Oh, well, no, you're right. No, I'm sorry. We do say Shema Yisrael out loud. Yeah, I'm getting confused. On Yom Kippur, we say Baruch Shem out loud. Yeah, so the Indian is that it's a Gemara in Masechta Pesachim, and I think we tell a shir clearly about it, Barichas. The Gemara brings over there in Daf, and it's Nun Aleph, in the fourth parak of Pesachim. So the Gemara taught that Yaakov Avinu, when he was about to leave the world, Begolui, he called everybody around. He wanted to reveal to them Moshiach. You guys are batlonim. He wanted to reveal the Kate. So they say Rashi brings it. Rashi brings it in Pasha Vayichi. He wanted to reveal the Kate, and then it's written that the Stauch of Menu Shechina, the whole Shechina went away, and he wasn't able to reveal to them he had a Kate. So he said, Shema Yesh Psul Be. Excuse me there,
I'm drawing a picture of what you just said.
Are you writing there something about Yehuda Eloah?
No, this is a chassid saying Shema Yisrael.
Very good. Good for you, my buddy. I just, just like I don't hear so well, I don't see all that very well either. So it should be with that law. And my mother complains that Yaakov Avinu thought that maybe something was wrong with his generations and his children. That's why he couldn't reveal to them the Kates. So they said to him, Avinu, Yaakov, don't think that. Kishem, she'ein b'libecha ela echad, kach ein b'libeinu ela echad. Just like, there's only echad in your heart, the same in b'libeinu ela echad. So it's written that Yaakov Avinu said, Baruch Shem Kveit Malchus Ilad. He said, by praise of the Eir, Baruch Shem Kveit Malchus Ilad. That was up to Gemara. What are we going to do? The Torah didn't write Baruch Shem. It's not written in the Torah. They said, well, therefore we can't say it. So the Gemara, Yaakov Avinu said it. He's enough, isn't he? So the Gemara said, a good way out of it is, Shema Yisrael will say normal, and Baruch Shem will say quietly. Baruch Shem, they'll say quietly because it's not written. Mamish in the pasuk. So for that you need a huge big arichas. And so what's the touch Kishem, just like Belibcha in Le'elachat came Belibenu. They mean to say your in Libenu, your Lev Echod is one in Kishem, similar to that. Our heart is also, but we're on a low level. We're already shy. Asia in Labia. I mean, they weren't really shy at Labia, but they were. Is the Shvatim, they weren't mamish on the Madrega for Natzilas, they were already shy at Mabriya. The father, they said, Yaakov Avinu said, Azoi, Baruch Hashem Fadem, but Baruch Shem Kveit Malchus Ilad Be'emes, because you guys are on a lower Madrega. In other words, Yaakov Avinu chapped that they weren't on the same Madrega from Bittel in Elokus of Yehuda, like he was, and therefore he didn't say Shema Yisrael, but he said Baruch Shem Kveit Malchus Ilad. But somehow or another Shema Yisrael creeps into the Gemara over there, I think. Maybe I forgot Lashon, that he said Shema Yisrael. No, he didn't say. He said Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus Le'olam. Anyway, whatever. But it comes out if he's there that he said clearly that it's two like two madrega according to Chassidus. That he said his madrega in Yechudei Lo is one, their madrega is another, and in order to describe that, he said Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus Le'olam. And the Gemara said, what are we going to do? We should really say it, but we can't really say it. But Yaakov Avinu said it, so we'll have to say it b'chashoy, as they state in the Gemara. You have to say it quietly. So Chassidus explains that why do we say it quietly? Because Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus Le'olam Voed is a Yerida into Biyah from the bittul of Atzilus. You follow? It's from the bittul of Yechudei Iloah that you've gone down into the bittul how it is in Biyah, and therefore it can only be said b'sheket legabi the amitis in a bittul. It's not genuine description of Hashem's Yichud. You got the idea? But on the other hand, it is a true thing, and that's what we're going to see as we go along. All right. So. אבל אויסר נשומות שהם בגין מחוס אל הקוסטציה, מחוס אל הקוסטציה, הנה גם בירידוסם למטה, הרי הם מופשטים מהגשם. They are completely withdrawn from, and how do you call it, mufshotim in Yiddish means oiskiton. They're like completely declothed of it. They're completely out of that lavush altogether. Ki al b'chinas mahus elakus ein shum dover mastir klal. In other words, it's not possible for anything to be, just like you can't be master legabe Hashem, you can't be master legabe Atzilus, because Atzilus is Him, and it's mahus elakus. Now we keep noticing here the expression mahus, or mahusi efshalahasti. They are mahus Atzilus, mahus elakus. So what is the deal for that word of mahus that keeps occurring here? Apart from meaning what is the implication of that loss? So it's well known the difference between mahus and matzius. In other words, mahus means the very essence of something. Matzius means that we know that it's there, or there's a certain appearance of it being there, or knowledge of it being there, but not the very essence of it. And that's what we call mahus and matzius. So therefore, the majority of the neshamas, being as they are, only neshamas to biyah, they can only know, like we saw in this famous Kunta Safran, which we've been learning in Tanya, we saw that there's a union for what's called Yediyas Hameh Matzias Bilvad. We only know about Elikus, but we don't actually know it. We don't know the Mahus. You know, I told you the famous story of Nehemiah Dubrovna that he said to the Talmud. I told you about it already. That he said, we don't, all we know is Metzias. So why should we learn Chassidus now? Better we learn the Osid, Mashiach is coming. We'll learn Nimis Atar, now we'll be learning Mahus. Why should we bother now with the Metzias? So the Talmud Tzaddik said, it was like when you learn a Torah, all of a sudden, then you see the real truth. But if you didn't learn it before, so you think, you're looking annoyed. Is that so? The majority of neshamas, all they know is that the Eibishter is there. They know about not just the Eibishter, all the Elamnas and all the Sfiras, even their own neshama. We only know that our neshama is there. We don't really have a mahus knowledge of our neshama. So therefore, Kumta is that one way of describing the difference between those neshamas of Atzilus and the neshamas how they are in Olam Biyah, who are nitfosim in the unionim of Olam Biyah, is that their whole knowledge is not mahus. Their whole knowledge is only matzias. Even the deepest knowledge, and even the most profound yediyah, is only a yediyah of a matzias. Yeah, there was something which is a yediyah of a matzias bilvad. It's possible, or a gilui which leads to that yediyah, it's possible to be malimo or master on that, because it's made in such a way that it'll appear to the makabel in a way that all he knows about it, he doesn't really know what it really is. And that's what we saw. The koach of emunah is that which gives him the ability to overcome that nesoya, because the koach of emunah connects him, with the mahut. You follow? But that's not something which is made in the koach is pekolo. However, the meaning of Emunah remains something which is usually revealed in the mensch by way of a trial or a tremendous challenge, which is not Peter Harogim. Comes out of his. That's what the Rebbe keeps using, the expression Mahus Elikus. But Mahus means the very essence of Elikus, Kamoishahu. If that's Begorah, you can't be mind of a muscle, because that's it. But Metzias Elikus, which means that we're going to see in a minute that the Eivshter makes that deliberately. He gives forth the way the Elikus comes from him in such a way that it's only revealing Metzias, that you can be Ma'alav U'Master. And on the contrary, in a way, the Eivshter means that should be Ma'alav U'Master in order to give rise to the whole meaning of a Yesh, Karan Lamata. So if he's kommt as a pillar gesagt, just by the way, it comes out that the emes kavona of the bria is the neshamas the bria. They're the emes kavona. They're the emes what they was really meant from the whole inverted commas trick, which we call the bria. I don't ever say, why does he make these neshamas datzila? The whole reason he makes neshamas datzila is to help out all the neshamas debiyah that he has rachmanis. The Eivshter, that there should be the neshamas datzilas to help out the inyavanelamas, all the neshamas debiyah, and that's what's written in Perek Hay at the beginning of Shara Yichud V'Emunah. The Alter Rebbe says it. The Tchila b'machshat b'so'ilam b'midas hadin shitefi moi midas harachmim. Tries the Alter Rebbe Hainu Gilei Elikus al yidei hatzadikim al yidei oisos u'moifsim b'Torah. Three from miracles, those miracles which are mitzad the koyach HaTorah, and he says oisos. I'm sorry, al yidei tzadikim, and he writes tzadikim before the oisos u'moifsim shabbat. Torah, which means that the tzaddikim are tremendous essential giving of power. They are the giver of Elikus. In other words, that the whole Eden why a tzaddik is there is in order to be Megala Elikus. He's not there for any other reason, but he's there in order to be Megala Elikus. For whom? For the sake of the Shamas to be and if there wouldn't be the tzaddikim, because it's much more that through the Emunah that you have in tzaddikim, you gain Emunah in Nifan. And we have the Nifan Ma'ifse. We say, kind of mochim laharik be'inyan zeh. Even though yesh laharik b'zeh harbei, we ain't kind of mochim laharik b'zeh. I should dalet Kislev, so we've got some sort of we have to say something which is shot to you, dalet Kislev. And that is that the Rebbe is the immediate guide. He's the one that's Megala Elikus Mamish Kamshahu. In order that all the nishamas of that doyer, they should be able to find their way to overcome the Nesoyan of that Elam, that they don't have their Mahus Pekoli, they have only Dina from the Machi. And they're going to fight this tremendous Nesoyan of these Gabras, Adachoima, etc., etc. So that was the Rebbe, das is the Indian, that Mahus ain't over my Rabbi Dawson, and remember this, the service of these Neshamas, mitzad etzem nishmosam levad. In other words, they don't have any Helam v'Esther. They have only the very essence of the Neshama Kamoshu. In other words, we have an etzem Neshama, and then afterwards we have a Gilead Neshama, and a this and a that. They just have their Neshama. They don't have all the other Inyanim. They just have their Neshama Kamoshu. And that's the way it is. Etzem Neshama, because it's from Matzilas. As if from Matzilas, they have a Hariyim Yoidim, U'Masigim B'Chinus Amiti Sadas Elyoino. Now we're going to see what that means later. But the Eivshter got two Kaviyach ways of looking at it. The Das Elyoino is the way the Eivshter looks down at the world. Mitzad the Emes, B'Yichud Elah, and he says that the whole thing is not really a Matzias at all, and it's all just to use the expression Nisoyan. The whole thing is just what you might call a trick. And the Eivshter looks down. Now, that's the way they look at the world. They see the way the Eivshter see. V'nirgash b'nafshom b'chinas amitius aktusayis para. Now here's the expression nirgash. Now we're going to see a little bit later on in the whole piece here that is the key pitch word. You can understand. Even in neshamas of Biyah, even neshamas on a low level in Biyah, we can come to understand the things like that. We can have a quite a detailed, understanding and way of understanding and way of even describing that understanding. We can have a lot of understanding, but we don't feel it. We don't actually live with it in the, how do you call it? Tifin Beinarain, as I say, it is deep inside the marrow of the bone, and we don't feel it. We can be mispalpable about it. Yeah, but the next thing is you can walk out of the room, and all of a sudden you look at the world and say, whoa, wait a minute, At the far, that's why the Rebbe uses the expression that the amitis at Deo Aliyun is nirgash benafsho. Yeah? Nirgash, that they feel it. In other words, that feeling means the way you react in your day-to-day, almost instinctive way. That's the type. They just automatically feel and are aware of Eino Edno Vade. His Amitius Artusi. Hari Haim Tomid, V'chinas Dveikis Miti. Therefore they're cloven genuinely to Hashem, because they feel Mahus, and remember they're just one together with Him, they're Dovuk in Him, V'chinas Bittel B'Matzius Mamish. In other words, that their whole Matzius is just Bittel to the Eibishter. They don't feel anything, they're just aware of Him. And they're only there because, as we pointed out, He meant them to be there. Therefore, their whole being is a bottled being. Ve'enam shayachim, or enam shayach, l'shum hergish kash miklal. They don't feel the physical world at all. V'kameisha kosu kola sha'eri ulevavi, the tirugim onkelos ishtatzio, ishtatzio, Gushmi, not Gushman, Gushmi steht dort. That's what it says in the Targum Yain. What we should do is, that's the famous pasuk in Tehillim, in Kapitel Ein Gimel, where it's written Kola Shahid Ulavavi, but before that it's written Mi Li Bashomayim, Ve'im Chaloi Chafatzti Ba'oretz, and then it's written Kola Shahid Ulavavi. So, Mili B'Shamayim is a famous pasuk what the Alter Rebbe said in his Beikis, is brought down in the end of the Mitzvah Sefer from the Rebbe Tzemel Tzedek. He said, I don't want your Gan Eden, I don't want your Elam Abor, I will manage as Dira or Dichalein, I only want you yourself. That's on the pasuk Mili B'Shamayim V'im Chaloi Chafatzti. Alright? And then the next Hemshech of the pasuk says Kola. Kola means to literally go out and to sort of finish itself almost. Sha'eya, the word Sha'eya means how do you call it, like the flesh or the etum physical state of something. It's called Sha'eya. Imamira Kola Sha'eri Ulevavi. All my emotions as well, not just my body but also my emotions. So what does David HaMelech mean? He means that if you're holding by that madrega of Mili B'Shamayim, you say that I'm completely and utterly bottled to the Eibishter, absolutely. Even that if you manage as Dira Lane, then your whole, as it were, physicality just burns up. And therefore the word Ishtatzitza means to destroy something. In other words, that's why he brings the Targum, because the Targum Teitz is a Bepashta. It's Kola. Kola means, how do you call it in Yiddish? Abgebrennt. Burnt away. Finished. How do you call it? Destroyed. Destroyed. My Gashmis has been destroyed. They touched the Targum Onkelos. If you look in Rashi, in the Metzudas Torah over there, or they tie in from Russian longing. They say, Kola, I'm longing for you. And the Targum ties, I'm burnt. I'm finished. Some of you guys look to me as if you would say, well, maybe we should finish. If this is the finish, well, we're about to do that, Be'ez Hashem. You got to be leverdick. No, what's it with you guys? I mean, if you look this way when you're only, how old are you, some of you guys? Alachas Kama when you're another 50 or 60 years down the line, how are you going to look? You guys. I mean, Moshiach's going to be here tens and tens and hundreds of years before that, I bet. That's the same. Oi, Shekam, Imam, Einam Shayachim Shum Ergish Gashmi. They don't feel the Gashmis at all. On the contrary, it all burns away. Oi, now here's the big trick. Oi, another way of saying it, or another way of describing their Aveda, Shagam kol inyonehem agashmiyim heim elakus mamish. So another way of saying it is that these neshamas, all of their gashmistic inyonim, if they do have gashmistic inyonim, they're all elakus. All of it. What on earth does that mean? What's the oi? What is it? Oi, maybe we could say, very amazing statement. So I see that we've got no takers, so then everybody's saying what's going to be with that for bringing over there, and what's going to be, and what's going to be. So, any takers? What does he mean by that? So, we could suggest, I'm going to, be bold, I'm going to suggest that the Rebbe is hinting here two different oifanim in tzaddikim, two different oifanim in avodas tzaddikim. In other words, there's some tzaddikim, their avodah is so massive, isn't it? Excuse me, their avodah is so massive. He's going back to it.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Huh?
I'm listening.
Very good. Very good. So what they went back, their madrega in avodah is that they burn up the gashmis. And when there's something that's burnt up, you don't have any feeling for it. It's got no shaykhs, but they literally consume and amavattle the whole inyan of the gashmis. And therefore, their gilei alakus is purely mitzad etzem nishmosam and etzem avedosam over the physical world. How do you call it? Burn it up and throw it into some huge, incinerator or something, and it's get ain't a cool shot. Another type of tzaddik, another type of avodah, but the great tzaddikim is not that they live in the world, and you don't seem to pick a great deal. They seem to live, and they seem to have a certain, physical world around them. But the difference is that, just like we said before, that really mitzad yichud ilah, mitzad the inyan of atzilus, which is etzem elakus, that nothing is really there. There's no real materials. Then not that I should look at the world and just be mavatl the materials, as if there's no real materials. Then what is there? So of course, ma yesh king. So we have to say that it's only him, it's only the Eibishter. If the whole Nivra doesn't really exist, then of course it's really him. And I remember this final tzaddikim gedolim v'amitim, that they're able to use the gashmis and everything, you wouldn't notice any of it. Neverson, they're using the gashmis purely as a divine thing. As far as they're concerned, this is big to say either or in the middle of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, or the Keteris in the Heichel, as far as they're concerned, big to say it is. Yeah? In other words, that they see in the Gashmi, the immediate hayecholos of Hashem, to see that there should be a yesh Gashmi in the world for his purpose, or does a man need to be his court? That's him himself. Now it's a whole new idea of what is the emissary yichud and what is the inan of a human being. Well, these guys are not human beings, but what is it in the world that to be megala that everything is real. So that's the whole of it. And if they live in a, don't they? They live in a way that they're megala how everything is not really a physical entity itself. Manitvi elakus itself. If you look up in Pasha Shmini and Lekut Torah, right near the beginning, the Alter Rebbe in Lekut Torah maps out the two types of tzaddikim. You look it up over there. He says certain types of tzaddikim, where everything by say is just there's all the shichudi miloi, and they just go from one madrega to the other. Bli erach, they just like these fish that jump over these. He brings over the muscle, the fish they're going back against the current in the winter or the summer. I picked one of this. They go up and they jump over these huge they do it. And then he said there are certain neshamas, what they're in the and they're also tzaddikim. And they're in the world, and they have to do, but they're in it to use the Gashmis in a way that they don't really, it's not really shy to them. But they have a certain place in the world. The Elo does first tzaddikim, everything by says the shichud below begolim mamish. Well, it doesn't try madreg is what he says here. But here he says the other way around. Here he puts the first one first, and he brings the second. In other words, by these peoples, everything is mamish divinity. It's not hard to talk about them and the physical world. They and the physical world are just the Eibishter, just kilo of the Eibishter. It's a very amazing idea. It's a very mind-boggling thing. And Be'ez Hashem, in coming episodes, if you have to remind me that I said it's very mind-boggling. It's got to do with the two types of tzaddikim. Maybe Hashem will help me, and I'll tell you. I can tell you now a whole amazing maaseh, but I don't want to tell it because we're going to get you over to that for bringing. Okay. So, what was your question? All right, guys. So you guys can.